Today, we're going to talk about something you've probably never heard of. It's the story of a nearly forgotten mineral from a super remote corner of the Arctic. A mineral that, kind of behind the scenes, became the secret ingredient that built the world we live in today. So, the story kicks off with local Inuit families in Greenland. They kept finding these strange, almost see-through white rocks just lying around. And, they looked exactly like chunks of ice. But here's the crazy part about this ice. It could be the warmest day of the summer, and these things would not melt. Not one bit. They had stumbled onto something that, as it turns out, really didn't exist anywhere else on Earth. And if you think that's weird, get this. This mineral wasn't just rare, it was found in any real quantity in only one place on the entire planet. A tiny isolated town called Ivitut. One single spot. And that, right there, is the big reveal. This one mine, in this one little town, holding this one unique mineral, well, it was the key that unlocked the material that basically defines our modern age, aluminum. So what exactly was this mineral? Well, to really get why it changed the world, you first have to understand just how impossibly, unbelievably rare it was. I mean, geologists literally call it a geological miracle. See, cryolite usually only forms in these tiny, useless amounts. Finding a huge, concentrated deposit that you could actually mine, well, it just shouldn't have happened. It was a 1 in a billion type of thing. Okay, so for the science buffs out there, its proper name is sodium aluminum fluoride. But honestly, all you really need to remember is this. For about 100 years, if you wanted natural cryolite, you had to get it from this one place in Greenland. Period. So you're probably wondering, why did anyone care so much about this weird ice rock? Well, it's because it solved one of the biggest industrial headaches of the 19th century, the aluminum problem. Okay, this slide really puts it into perspective. Before 1886, aluminum was a precious metal. I'm not kidding, it was literally worth more than gold. It was just so incredibly hard to get out of its ore. But look at it today, it's everywhere. It's in our soda cans, our cars, our phones. So what on earth changed? The thing that flipped the script, the key to the whole puzzle, came from that one lonely mine way up in the Arctic. The solution was cryolite. The year is 1886. Two inventors, a guy named Hall in America and another named Harold in France, completely independent of each other, discovered a process that could make aluminum cheaply. And their breakthrough had one single secret ingredient. All right, so here's the simple version of how it worked. You start with alumina, which is the raw stuff, the aluminum ore. Now, here's the trick. Alumina's melting point is ridiculously high. But if you dissolve it in molten cryolite first, the temperature needed drops like a rock. Then, you just zap that mixture with a massive electric current. And like magic, pure liquid aluminum separates out and sinks to the bottom, ready to go. Without cryolite, the whole thing was basically impossible on a large scale. So once this process was out, the world basically went nuts for cryolite. And suddenly, this tiny forgotten town of Ivitut was transformed. It went from being an Arctic outpost to the absolute epicenter of a global industrial revolution. You can really see the roller coaster ride of this mine on this timeline. After it's discovered around 1810, things are pretty quiet. Then, boom, 1886 happens and everything changes. By 1900, it's a huge global hub. By World War II, it's so critical it needs military protection. And then, almost as suddenly as it started, it all ends in 1987. Yeah, let's zoom in on the war for a second, because this is where the stakes get incredibly high. See, by then, aluminum wasn't just for kitchenware. It was the essential material for building airplanes. Think about this for a second. The entire Allied war effort, their ability to build thousands and thousands of fighter planes, it all hinged on a steady supply of this one mineral from this one mine. The U.S. literally sent soldiers to Greenland to guard the hole in the ground. They guarded the supply ships crossing the ocean. The miners working there were considered essential to winning the war. It was, without a doubt, one of the most strategically important places on the planet. But, a situation like that, being so reliant on one single source, it just can't last forever. The clock was ticking and the age of natural cryolite was about to come to an end. Two things happened. First, they were literally just running out of the stuff in the mine. But the real nail in the coffin? Science. Chemists figured out how to make perfect cryolite in a lab using industrial byproducts. The synthetic version was cheaper, you could make as much as you wanted, and it was actually more consistent. The geological miracle was no longer needed. And just like that, in 1987, after more than a century of shaping our world, the planet's only real cryolite mine shut its gates for good. And what happened to Ivatut? Well, it became a ghost town. Everybody left. The buildings were abandoned, and the giant pit where the mine used to be slowly filled up with water, creating this deep, quiet lake. The boomtown at the edge of the world just went silent. But here's the thing. Even though the mine is flooded and the town is empty, its story is far from over. In fact, you're surrounded by its legacy right now. Seriously, just think about it for a second. That lightweight smartphone in your hand, the airplane you fly in, the power lines bringing electricity to your home, even the soda can sitting on your desk. All of these things exist in the cheap, abundant form we know today because that one remote mine in Greenland gave us the key to unlock aluminum for the masses. It's just an incredible reminder of how interconnected everything is. How one little geological fluke, one weird rock in the middle of nowhere, can completely reshape global industry and turn a tiny dot on the map into a place of massive strategic importance. So it really makes you think, right? The next time you pick up your phone, just ask yourself, what other forgotten stories, what other geological miracles and Arctic ghost towns are hiding in the materials that make up my everyday life?